Good morning and a very warm welcome to London for the 2022 8th Head of the River Race. And what a gorgeous day that we've got for the race. The first time that we've run since 2019 and the first time we're bringing this official live stream to you. I'm joined here by Will Horrocks and we've just got a gorgeous day. We can see some of the crews here, Will, lining up, some of the top crews in that top 5.
Yeah, we've got a very busy boating area in Putney embankment and in the marshalling area up by Chiswick Bridge. It's going to be a fantastic day of racing.
So it's very quiet here at what will be the finish, but that won't be so quiet in just a few moments' time, and a little clip here of what to look forward to at this year's Head of the River Race. So scenes here of crews making their way up towards the start of this 6.8 kilometre course, and it can be a challenging beast, this one, but it looks like we've got some pretty stunning conditions today. Really looking forward to all of these crews taking part for the first time since 2019. A nice shot there of, looks like Oriel Kensington locals to the water. Plenty of interest from all over the UK and plenty of spectators from all over the UK as well, Will.
Yes, absolutely. It's always a fantastic atmosphere at the Head of the River Race. We can see the crowds already building in on the Putney embankment, the coaches getting ready to watch their crews coming down. But just going to go to a little guide through the course that the athletes are going to be racing today. So 6.8 kilometres starting off, going underneath Chiswick Bridge and the University Post, going round Barnes Bridge just over a kilometre down, then go onto the long straight along the past the bandstand, past Chiswick Pier, and then onto Chiswick Ayot. At this point, you're now coming up to around about halfway. When you go through the blue windows, you are past that halfway marker. Round the big Surrey bend, getting to Hammersmith Bridge, go under that second lamp post, and you've got just over 2k to go. Down to the mile post, and you can really start to think about winding it up for home. Fulham Football Ground on your left marks 1 kilometre. Then go past the Black Boy, the start of the Putney embankment. You should maybe hear a bit of cheering from the crowds. Past London Rowing Club, 250 metres to go. Throw absolutely everything at it past the finish line at Putney Pier.
So you can see the atmosphere building here at the start of this 8th Head of the River Race, but our man on the ground can tell us a lot more about what's going on up at the start. Fergus Mainland joins us from just above Chiswick Bridge, and Fergus, it looks like a gorgeous day for a race.
Yes, Camilla, do you know what? It is absolutely cracking today. The sun is out, we've got blue skies, and for the first running of the Head of the River Race since 2019, you can't ask for better conditions than this. You can see behind me all the crews warming up, getting ready to go for racing in just a few minutes' time. We'll have the first load of crews, Leander, Oxford Brookes, the likes, they'll be getting ready to spin in not too long down the line. So plenty of action building up here at the start line.
Fergus, what are we going to expect, I guess, in the next few minutes' time? You talked about a couple of the crews to watch out for. Can you spot any of them just in front of you there?
So from my position here, we can see the likes of Oxford Brookes, Leander, Oxford Brookes and Leander. Those are your top 4 crews going off. And then you've got the rest of the big crews. You've got the likes of your University of London, Imperial College London, Newcastle University, Molesey right in front of me, some of the big names. And lots of these crews obviously haven't raced the head of the river since 2019. So for some of these athletes, it might be their first run down the track. So to get a racing experience like this on a day like this is absolutely fantastic.
And Fergus, we've got some great shots of you know, the huge range of crews we've got here racing today. I expect we've got a lot of support, given the race hasn't run for a little while. Any supporters with you up at the start?
Massive numbers, actually. We can start to see some of them gathering on Chiswick Bridge at the moment. And about 20 minutes or so ago, as the Tideway Scullers crews were boating out of their boathouse just next to Chiswick Bridge, huge roars of encouragement and excitement from the Tideway Scullers supporters as their crews got out on the water. Same thing from Quinton Boat Club as well, just directly over the water from me. So lots of action, lots of excitement, and there'll be plenty of other crews down the course as well, particularly on Hammersmith Bridge as well. That's one to look out for.
So we've got some great onboard footage from some of the crews. We'll be letting you know who you're looking at. This is the University of Surrey, who we'll be on board with later on this morning. We'll get to see some great shots from on the course and some of the coxswain calls as well. So that'll be really interesting to hear how that will develop. Well,
yeah, going to be fantastic having that onboard shot, getting a bit of right from the centre of the action, seeing and hearing the coxes and the crews as they race down the course should really get us immersed with the action.
Yeah, so this is City of Cambridge, who are on the start line at the moment. Crew number 117, City of Cambridge, and we can see it's Paulina Labrizzi in this cox's seat, who we've got the camera strapped to. And we're back now at the start, and you can see those top few crews, Oxford Brookes, Leander and Molesey, all gathering ready to spin and into the start. And Fergus, we don't know kind of what the conditions are like here remotely. We'll get a bit from you a little bit later on, but first we're going to have a look at the draw for this morning's race and those 295 crews taking part. Well,
yeah, it's going to be excellent racing all the way down the 295 crews today. We've got plenty of pennants that all of our crews will be competing for, but my eyes absolutely drawn to those two crews at the top. Oxford Brookes University Boat Club A starting number 1. They took the headship in 2019 after a dead heat in 2018. Leander Club, the Pink Palace, they're going to be looking to try and take that back from the Oxford Brookes University crew.
But of course, not just all about the headship. We will keep eyes on the overall winner, but plenty of pennants to go for here today. A number of trophies to try and aim for. And we'll take you through all of those in just a few moments' time. But we're back on the water now with some great shots of our volunteers and our umpires that make all of this happen. Really thankful for them, but they won't mind so much with the sunshine that we've got today to be sat out on the river making this great international event happen. And we're looking here, crew number 107, Putney Town Rowing Club, who are boating just from where we saw Fergus just there, Will.
Yep, so Putney Town Rowing Club just a little bit before a little bit upstream of the start line at Chiswick Bridge. So a really good spot to see those crews as they're marshalling for the start. You always get the top crews marshalling on the Middlesex bank, just the Surrey bank, just north of Chiswick Bridge. Some great shots here from the Putney embankment. We're going to see our crews coming racing down there. The course is going to take around about 16 or so minutes for our athletes to complete. Molesey Boat Club there, based out of the southwest of London, just slightly upstream of the Tideway course, getting themselves ready.
Just amazing to get these onboard shots from the crews, different techniques for relaxing, for warming up.
As 1 minute 10.
There you go, you can just hear some of those directions that Paulina Labrizzi is giving to her crew there in the City of Cambridge crew. We'll join them for the race in just a few moments' time. Some of the coaches from Imperial here just looking to to get tuned into the live stream, we hope. Make sure that you're spreading the word that we'll be live for the next couple of hours, bringing you all the racing. Molesey and Oxford Brookes here on your screen. Crews 5 and 6, they'll be going off very shortly. We've just hit 10 a.m. and our spectators at the finish have got the best view in the house for the finish line. Loads of friends and family from not just London but from further afield as well. We've got crews from as far away as Scotland, but some of continental Europe as well. Will?
Yes, definitely always a big entry for Ahead of the River from international crews. We've also got the Veterans Head of the River tomorrow, so we often get a lot of crews that are racing that coming down to support their club mates today, and then they'll pay that back tomorrow. Great shot, just the organised chaos above the start line. Our marshals doing a fantastic job of keeping everyone in order.
And this looks like to me we are just moments away from the first crew spinning round and coming furiously through that finish line. It's and Fergus, you're the best man for the job to tell us what's happening there down at the start. What conditions are these guys going to be racing into over the next 17 or so minutes?
So just looking down the course at the moment, they're going to shoot Chiswick Bridge, and it's looking particularly good conditions today. Actually, nothing too bouncy at the moment. I can't speak for what it's going to be like at Hammersmith. I think there's rumours on the towpath it might be slightly choppier down at Hammersmith Bridge, but nothing like we had at Women's Head a couple of weeks ago. And actually, racing Ahead of the River, conditions really don't get much better than this. In years gone by, we've had cancellations, we've had huge waves, we've had all sorts, but this year it's looking like ideal racing conditions for these guys.
And Fergus, we're just getting eyes on now the first few crews spinning, and I guess who's looked best from their kind of pre-race ritual? Who's your money on?
Do you know what? I think as has already been mentioned, this ding-dong down the course between Oxford Brookes and Leander is going to be absolutely monumental. And I just think for Oxford Brookes, having 3 crews setting off in the top 6 is absolutely outstanding. But our top 4 of Brookes Leander, then it's going to be Molesey off. It's going to be so close. And I think it's also worth bearing in mind that these top 2 or 3 crews from Leander and Brookes are just going to be absolutely stacked with talent that's just been released from the Great Britain national team. So dozens of World Championship vests, Olympic vests as well, are going to be going off in those top couple of crews. So plenty of talent to look out there.
Yeah, lots of talent. We just saw eyes on there. Leander Cub B, crew number 4 to be set off. They'll be steered down the course by Wilf LeBrock, many junior international vests and beyond. We're now on board with Quintin Boat Club. We'll be seeing them go off crew number 22. Quintin BC, we're on board with Rebecca Chatwin, the Cox, who'll be pointing her camera at the crew as they spin. In about 10 minutes time, I guess, 22, and here's Surrey University, Will.
Yeah, Surrey, who've had a fantastic improvement over the last few years. Their head coach, Sam Tuck, really pushing on. A bit of geeing up here going on in the city of Cambridge crew, but has slapped on the riggers just to get everyone hyped up. So we saw the first of those. The first wave of crews spinning, getting ready for the start, which should hopefully be getting underway in just a few moments' time. You can see it's like Newcastle University in the blue on the right and the University of London on the left.
And like we said, there's not just the overall headship pennant. We've got university categories, we've got the club categories for trophies like the Jackson. Plenty of different accolades to try and obtain here, and we will be underway in 3 strokes time. Oxford Brookes here going underneath Chiswick Bridge. And that looks to me like crew number 6, Oxford Brookes C, winding up for the start. We're already a few crews in. And the 2022 Head of the River race has started, and here come the armada of crews looking to put in their best performance over the next 6.8 kilometres on the Tideway. You'll start to see the ratings go up.
So we have like the 20s.
Those tense moments here for City of Cambridge before they spin. We'll see our first Cox Cam will be for Quintin in about 12 crews time. That's the University of London now setting off, their home boat club, just a couple of 100 metres away. A very short road to the start for them, Will.
Yeah, and a really impressive looking crew from the University of London under their new head coach. So we've got those first 9 or so crews now underway. As we will hopefully be able to bring you intermediate times both from Barnes Bridge and from Hammersmith Bridge. So we've got cameras at the start and the finish. So we'll hopefully try and give you as many updates on times as possible, as we now see crew number 11, Oxford Brookes D. Oxford Brookes have got 5 crews starting in the top 13, which for a university-based club is absolutely astonishing. Just scrolling down, actually it's 6 crews in the top 16 boats, Camilla. It's really, really astonishing, the strength and depth that Oxford Brookes have.
Yeah, we'll be joining Oxford Brookes nearer towards the finish in circa 15 minutes time. Now that Oxford Brookes A crew will be coming towards our camera at Thames Rowing Club, but we're now back on board with Quintin, who will get to row past their home club, which is situated just before Chiswick Bridge, just before the start. So I'm sure we'll have plenty of cheers for Quintin as they row through to embark on their journey for the 2022 Head of the River race. That to me looks like Molesey Boat Club B. A couple of interesting people on board there. Ollie Stanhope sits at 2 for Molesey B, the Paralympic gold medalist from the PR3 Cox 4. Some great talent going back into the clubs from the GB setup, like we said, Will.
Yeah, and a very talented stroke man, Ollie Knight, in that boat as well. So huge atmosphere now developing on the Putney embankment with those first boats underway, as we see another one of those Oxford Brookes boats making their way down. This looks like Oxford Brookes F, crew number 16. But yeah, all the a lot of the coaches, friends, family, squad mates of the people who are racing today will be down in Putney getting ready to cheer as those crews come racing through the last couple of minutes. See Will Fletcher there, Olympic medalist, and now coach at Durham University.
Yeah, Olympian from 2016, Will Fletcher, now coaching Durham University. But their rivals here on screen, Newcastle University. This is Newcastle B. Newcastle with 4 crews racing here. We'll be catching up with each of those, a lightweight crew. And I know somebody that's going to know a lot about Newcastle, and that's Fergus Mainland.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 crews racing today and an alumni number 88 for the Blue Star Club. And delighted to have James Rudkin, Olympic bronze medalist, back in that Newcastle University. So a huge amount of experience he'll be bringing to the Newcastle First State. But also the lightweight boys heading off number 60. They'll be challenging for that lightweight pennant today, going up against the likes of Oxford University lightweights, Cambridge University lightweights, and London Rowing Club as well.
Wonderful. Thanks, Fergus. Great to have your input as the current SU Sport President for Newcastle University. Now, we just saw Quintin starting to wind up the rating, and we can hear the Cox starting to drive on through the start as Quintin Boat Club. Crew number 22, Rebecca Chatwin, starts those short, sharp strokes for Robert Williams in the stroke seat to press on, and we are underway.
You can just see the amount of movement and a kind of surge in the boat with every stroke, propelling the Cox forwards and backwards. But we go in shot. You can see there the sort of start that the crews take as they go through Chiswick Bridge, getting into their rhythm as they go past the university post. We can see Cork Boat Club Ireland there, one of our first overseas crews, crew number 26, in those distinctive striped all-in-ones, just paddling up towards Chiswick Bridge. So crews will paddle up towards Chiswick Bridge. There'll then be a starter in a boat just past Chiswick. They'll call the crews up to speed, and then maybe about 50 metres past the bridge at the university post, that is when the timing will start.
So more spectators on the course there. The founders of Rival Kit also coming down to spectate. I'm sure they're hanging around as Kit providers to the boat race next weekend. They've got eyes on all of the athletes charging down what will be the boat race course next Sunday in reverse. Now, Quinton, you can hear the cocks really clearly there. Well, what sort of things would you want to be hearing in that first kind of kilometre up towards Barnford's Bridge?
I think in that first kilometre it's all about really establishing that rhythm as a crew. You're going to have that, maybe that first sort of 30, 45 seconds really punchy just to get the boat moving fast, and then it's hitting a really hard, relentless rhythm. I think there is going to be a little bit of a head breeze along that section of the course, which can actually be nice to push into. Something a bit too light if you've got a tailwind behind you. But for a long race like this, I think you're looking to establish a really strong rhythm.
Yeah, strong rhythm indeed, and we'll check in with each of these onboard cameras with each of the crews just to make sure that they're keeping that long rhythm, that they're sticking to their race plan, and we'll hear the coxes talking them through that as they go down the course. We've already talked about how long it is. You need to make sure that you can both reserve that energy, stay efficient, and the cox's job is not only to steer the boat but to ensure that they meet those checkpoints of their technique and their race plan. So we'll be tuning in with each of those onboard cameras and listening to those coxes as well as we do that. Now, that's Hammersmith Bridge there in the distance, and the Harrods Depository just there on the left, that big dome-shaped building just behind the trees. No crews coming through here yet. We'd expect to see Oxford Brookes A coming over the horizon in maybe about 7 or so minutes time, maybe a bit longer. But back up at the start, crew number 37 now. That to me looks like it
Bristol
is
University.
Bristol University.
Yeah, Bristol University in that distinctive maroon and black checkered pattern on their all-in-one, just building up as they go through the bridge, looking like they're starting quite close behind the crew that is in front of them. And that's something we haven't really mentioned, is it, Camilla, that it can be a big test for working your way around other crews on this course and making sure that whether you're overtaking or being overtaken.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. Again, we talk about the coxes having many jobs. Steering and ensuring that their crew gets the cleanest run down the course is one of them. We're on board now with the Cambridge University Lightweights. Now, they had their boat race just last weekend, in fact, and were very successful. A clean sweep across the board for Cambridge for the men's and women's lightweights, so a very talented crew that will be joining in just a few moments' time. Crew number 41 there, Tideway Sculler School Blades, but it looks like a borrowed boat to me for the Ruder Club Zurich, one of our continental European crews coming all the way from Germany. Zurich, great to have you with us. If you're tuning in from Germany, make sure that you drop us a message on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we've got a big group of overseas crews all starting between 39 and 43. We've got Irish crews, German crews, Swiss crews and Dutch crews as well. So great to see the overseas entries represented there. Great shot there of the bow of crew number 46 carving through the water, and that is Edinburgh University A. Starting very a little bit out of position this year. They were 14th the last time they raced in 2018, but don't think they raced in 2019. No, they were a little bit disappointed with their performance at the University Head of the River race in Newcastle a few weeks ago. They'll be looking to take some scalps over the likes of Newcastle, Durham, University of London.
Yeah, the university category, very competitive. and we'll be seeing the intermediary times coming through very soon, I'm sure. We should have had the first cruise certainly underneath Barnes Bridge, and if not now, sweeping around that big Surrey bend towards the Chiswick A and coming into view of some of our spectators on Hammersmith Bridge. But still a very busy and crowded start area. Only crew number 49 now going off, and it's Wallingford there. But we do now have intermediary times, and it looks like to me at Barnes it was Oxford Brookes University A 2 seconds up on Leander Club A, and Leander Club B. Will, that's a turnout for the books. You'd have expected Oxford Brookes B to be right up there.
Nice strong separation.
Yeah, just have a quick listening into the Quintin Boat Club crew.
Nice, working in our rhythm. Good boy.
So they're coming up towards Barnes Bridge now, and they're in the first 3 minutes of their race. But as Quinn has said, we do have those Barnes times through for the leading crews, and it is Oxford Brookes A with that very, very narrow lead. See King's College, Wimbledon, crew number 51, my alma mater from many, many years ago. Third place in the school's head of the river. Fourth place in the school's head of the river. My apologies. But yeah, very interesting that we've maybe got that Leander Club B crew going out really, really strong, and only a second ahead of Oxford Brookes B. Then just to round out the rest of the top 10, we've got Molesey in 5th, Newcastle A in 6th, University of London in 7th, Thames, Oxford Brookes C, and Imperial rounding up the top 10. So we've got a good battle there for the top university crews between Newcastle and London.
But remember, Newcastle's got James Rudkin on board, so won't be eligible for that university pennant, which makes all the difference. So at the moment, it looks like it's ULA at the top of that university category, but that was provisional times to Barnes Bridge. We're bringing you all the intermediary times we can, but of course, it's never over until it's over, and until we have those finish times, nothing is set. So that's just your provisional times to Barnes Bridge. We're still very early on in the race. We'll be bringing you Hammersmith Bridge times as well if we can. We've not got those through yet, but currently that top 3, Brookes, Leander A, Leander B, going through Barnes Bridge. Crew 55 now on your screen. Looks to me like Nottingham Rowing Club, and great here. We've got scenes from the finish and Oxford Brookes University A. That really impressive crew. What a lineup we've got here. Harry Brightmore steering this crew down the course. Ollie Wilkes at stroke. David Buick Copley at 7. Morgan Balding at 6. Rory Gibbs, Josh Bogowski, Sam Bannister, Tom Digby and Matthew Aldridge in this crew. And a sort of littered crew here, Fergus. Like you said earlier, kind of Project Paris and current squad members, right?
Yeah, I think it looks to be a really exciting crew that's come together. I think, as I said a few minutes ago, a number of these athletes have just been released from Caversham, from the National Training Centre, and it's a really great thing to be able to do. Head back to their home clubs, their clubs that have helped develop them, get them up to national team level, go back, give back to their clubs and race them here at the head of the river. We've got a number of them, particularly Leander Club, Oxford Brookes was mentioned, Newcastle University, a number of them as well. And in the past we usually see the likes of University of London getting the likes of Ollie Cook in previous years as well. But now up at the start, we're up into the 60s now. That looks to be the London Rowing Club lightweight crew that's heading up. They'll be closely followed by Imperial College as well. And just in front of me, starting to get into the warm-up zone, we've got crews sort of 195, likes of University of Leicester, 194. So starting to get really quite exciting up here as a start, as crews are thundering down towards the start line.
And Fergus, it looked to me like the wind was picking up a little bit. Are the conditions changing at all?
It's picked up a little bit, but it's not really had an impact on the water out there. I'd say the crews are going to be setting off sort of now to the end of the division. They're not going to be altered. It's not going to have a massive impact. And looking through Chiswick Bridge at the moment, it's still looking nice and flat, so conditions barely changed.
Thanks very much, Fergus. Yeah, lots of local interest Upper Thames here from the sort of Henley region, but Oxford Brookes there now on your screen, a really powerful crew.
Yeah, and going through Hammersmith, they had extended their lead up to 9 seconds on the provisional timing. They're going past Thames now, and just look at the power they are applying through the middle of the stroke. You can see they're picking it up at the front end and just accelerating the boat on. So Oxford Brookes with a 9-second advantage going through Hammersmith, coming up towards the finish now, and I think that's going to be really hard to overturn, isn't it, Camilla?
Yeah, I mean, with a couple of Olympians on board, Rory Gibbs, Josh Migowski, a really incredibly strong crew, bringing those guys back into the boat, into an already really strong calibre crew. The Project Paris team as well, going for those next Olympic Games, make up a lot of this Oxford Brookes crew, and under the great stewardship of Henry Bayash-Webb, they're looking to take home the overall head pennant for the third year on the trot since 2018. And that wind into the finish, you can just see how sharp they are into these lovely conditions. What a day for it. And Oxford Brookes, if they've managed to again extend that 9-second lead they had over Leander at Hammersmith, that would be absolutely exceptional as a gap to win the overall. We'll wait for those times to bring you. We're heading back up to the start, but the other thing I wanted to take note of, it looked to me like Oxford Brookes B at Hammersmith had managed to overtake Leander B, Will.
They have indeed, so it was a very small advantage, only a second. We can see Leander A now. They are sitting in second place going over Hammersmith. They're coming up towards the finish line. But as Camilla mentioned, that 1 second advantage that Leander B had has changed into a 1 second deficit by Hammersmith. So Oxford Brookes B going into that third spot. We'll see if they can hold on. At the moment, the order going through Hammersmith, they're similar to the start order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 in order from the start. We can see there the Oxford Brookes B crew number 3, winding up towards the line. You know that there's been some really tight competition between the Brookes A and Brookes B crews in training. That Brookes B crew absolutely stacked with some really, really top quality athletes.
Yeah, that Brookes B crew, some names there that would have been making top crews for Brookes in years gone by. Jamie Copers, Quentin Antignelli, Michael Glover, Matt Rowe, all in that B crew. Miles Devereaux in the stroke seat, so we'll wait to see where they finish. But we're back on board with Quentin now, and it looks like they've come round through Hammersmith Bridge, and we've got calls for sharpness, and certainly that is what they will want. Sharpness through the finish. Newcastle University now on your screen. You can see Olympian James Rudkin there in the middle of the boat, the bronze medalist from the men's 8. They currently sit in 10th position, having gone through Hammersmith. We'll bring you the confirmed times. There's still a long distance, over a kilometre between Hammersmith and the finish, to try and change that result, Will.
Yeah, for about it's about 2.5 kilometres from Hammersmith Bridge to the finish, and you've got to really make sure you've got your pacing strategy right, because if you start to run out of energy after Hammersmith Bridge, you can ship time really, really quickly. We can see Marlow Rowing Club, they got a big entry here this weekend. That's crew number 75, just winding it up through the start line. And back on board with Quintin. Let's listen to into the cox just for a second. See the important role of the cox there in motivating the crew, asking them to put their hand in the fire, really go through hell, as we now see Thames Rowing Club.
Listen to the noise where our camera is on the Thames Rowing Club balcony, and you can hear the support for Thames Rowing Club A. They currently sit in 11th. We're not sure where they sit. We've not got a provisional time for them through Hammersmith Bridge, but a really pacey club crew. Thames, of course, lots of success at Henley Royal Regatta in recent years. That crew that we just saw going in front of us through the start, London Rowing Club E, but I want to let you know who's in this Thames crew if you're tuning in from Thames. Of course, Matthew Christie in the bow seat, Henley winner. Great to see him on board now rowing with Thames. In front of him, James Stevenson, Henry Lamb, James Reeder, Tom Walton, Jake Brown, Charles Gosling, Tom Phelps, son of Richard Phelps and Anne-Marie Phelps, and Charles Clark in the Cox's seat. They'll be going hammer and tongs in front of their home crowd.
Absolutely. And we then just saw the Oxford Brookes E crew chasing them down. Back up to the start, crew number 85. That is Sons of the Thames A. And they're being followed by 86 Royal Chester A, in that lovely royal blue. Next, number 17, that looks like the Thames B crew now that are coming down towards the finish line. See, as you're into this section now, past the Black Boy, you've really just got to throw everything at it, any last bit of energy that you've got left. That's actually the Thames Rowing Club C crew, my apologies, and that are coming past our camera position now.
Yeah, that Thames roar, that 300 metres to go, maybe a little bit more for Thames Rowing Club. The noise will carry them through and give them that extra little boost that you need after almost 20 minutes of rowing.
Again, on the left already.
And this will be the point now. We're back on board with Crew 22 Quintin. We've been with them the whole time through their race. Great to see it develop. And we're calling for loose now in the Quintin crew. It's starting to get tiring. It's starting to get very tight, I'm sure, for all of those athletes in the crew, but they'll need to know that they're almost home. I think I can see on the camera Putney Bridge in the background.
Already.
For this last bit for Quintin Boat Club.
Keep pressing it out every stroke.
So into that last stretch now. The Cox just trying to keep the crew working together, working on those technical bits all the way to the finish, even though you're trying to absolutely expend yourself energy-wise. And there we can see Quintin from the outside shot. They are chasing down Nottingham.
This is great. We can hear the coxswain calls over this footage from outside the boat. So let's just listen in to this final bit for Quintin. Yeah, we heard the call for the Black Boy. We saw that on our course preview. They're going to have to push hard because they're overtaking crew number 24, Exeter. No, my apologies, Exeter University overtaking Quintin. So they're having to push extremely hard while they've got that crew alongside them.
Yeah, Exeter in the green there. Looks like they've, and I think the Nottingham University crew that we had seen as well, having moved past Quintin Boat Club as they come into the closing stages now, past Thames Rowing Club. Probably less than a minute of racing to go from the time you pass, by the time you pass Thames. So you can see a great shot there of the stern of the Quintin Boat Club crew. Robert Williams in the stroke seat, Rebecca Chatwin, who's very gratefully had the camera on board, and they're being chased by 25 Durham University A.
Durham University A, crew 25, almost overtaking three crews. They were champions at the Bucks head of the river race just a month ago in the men's championship 8. They're looking to step on, and they're coming up alongside Quintin now. You can see their blades in the bottom right hand side of your corner. Another crew going for that university pennant. And great to see these crews coming alongside one another in these last few hundred metres. It just gives so much motivation, doesn't it, Will?
It really does. If you've got someone to chase, and you know that if your Cox is doing a good job of telling you those distances, and you know you're hunting them down, it's just such an adrenaline rush. Yeah, it may not be the easiest thing to steer, but in terms of motivating the crew, it's absolutely fantastic.
last few strokes for Quintin. Now you can hear just how much effort Rebecca Chatwin put into coxing that race. They've crossed the line now. The first of our coxing cams, our onboard cams now completed. We'll wait to see where they finished with the provisional results coming out soon. Now I can see their crew 119. That looks like Edinburgh University on the horizon, waiting to spin. Remember, we've got almost 300 crews here racing, so we're barely a third through. On the screen now is crew number 30, that looks like to me. Potentially 36. My apologies, crew number 36.
Oh, no, you were right, Camilla. It was crew number 30, Bristol City A. Coming into the last couple of hundred metres, I should have trusted you. Absolutely. We've got Tyne Rowing Club, crew number 103. The number on the cox just helpfully tilted in our direction there. That is the Tyne University B crew.
So Tyne Rowing Club B crew there. The holders of the current Jackson Trophy, Will, from 2019, which is the club pennant for crews from outside of the Thames Basin. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, I believe that is correct, Tyne. And a fantastic performance there from 3 years ago. We can see a couple more crews coming down. This looks like the Marlow and HORR coming up towards the finish line as they're going past the Black Boy.
Yeah, once again, some good overtaking going on in the final stages of this race after a grueling 5 kilometres at this point, 300 or so metres to go. Just that little bit of extra energy to push past your opposite number, and Cork really on the travelator here. Looks like they're getting every single stroke. Great push here from the crew on the near side of our picture. Dublin University, my apologies, not Cork.
Yeah, maybe we're not quite as familiar with our Irish club colours as we are with our British ones, so our apologies there to Dublin University. But great shot there. Dublin started 39th, Marlow started 38th, so they've been battling pretty much the whole way down the course. But it does look like Dublin, my apologies, just moving through as they come up towards Putney Pier. It does always feel slightly longer than I remember going past the Putney embankment to the actual finish line.
Yeah, definitely. We were just saying earlier, actually, when you're in the race, you come through Hammersmith Bridge, which is a big iconic landmark, and you think I'm almost at the end, but this part here is really taxing on these individuals. They've come a long way. The great conditions will be certainly helping them, but yeah, it's certainly a real test of your athletic ability and your winter training that all of these guys will have put in. This is the biggest head race of the season for these guys. This will culminate a lot of their winter training, winter racing before they go on to the summer season of the shorter, sharper stuff. So they'll want to put everything into this. And here we go, says City of Cambridge, who we're now on board with. This is crew number 117, who are about to head off on their head of the river journey.
Backstops going on.
Yeah, boys.
Ready. Go.
So the crews get spun around past the start line. You can see Chiswick Bridge in the background. And just paddle down. There won't be too much pressure going into these blades at the moment. Just trying to get into a nice rhythm, moving together as a crew, moving loosely. Great shot there from the outside as we see City of Cambridge, crew number 117, rowing up to the start. And what would be great is if we could in 30 seconds or so have a listen in as City of Cambridge go through the start line and just listen to those coxers' calls as we build up to speed, going past Mortlake Anglian Alpha and Quintin Boat Club on the far side.
Legs fast through. Yeah, good change.
Heads up.
But we're going to be building up to the start now, so let's have a listen in to this City of Cambridge crew as they start their head of the river race.
Yeah, moving well. On 23 and 32. Okay, we're coming up on the bridge. In 2 strokes, we're going to
I think we've got a different coxswain out here. This doesn't sound like the City of Cambridge. Here, Paulina Labrizzi in just a second for crew number 117. But you can hear the different coxing styles. We've obviously got somebody else in our ear who's on the course at the moment. And we're hearing Labrizzi here calling for a build from Oliver Utley in the stroke seat for City of Cambridge. And they'll be through the start, through our starter, who sits just beyond Chiswick Bridge.
Moving well now. Heading down towards Harrods.
And it's Seb Pearce, our starter for this year's race, the 2022 race.
Yeah, that's
Oxford University alumni, hugely involved in the boat race. So we're back here, scenes of the finish now, and more noise you can hear from the huge crowds on the embankment. That looks to me like Bristol University on the left-hand side of our picture, trying to finish strong. But we are getting a few results trickling in now, Will.
Yes, so I'll just put a caveat that these are absolutely provisional, and we have to wait for verification of the times and also for any umpires' marshals' decisions to be put in place. But Oxford Brookes University A look like they have come out on top. Time of 16:59.8, just dipping under the 17 marker. They were 16 seconds ahead of Leander Club A. Leander Club A only just held on over Oxford Brookes B, less than 2 seconds in that, as we see Vesta Rowing Club coming past our camera position now. Leander Club B were in 4th, Oxford Brookes C in 5th. Then Thames Rowing Club A, Molesey, the University of London, Thames Rowing Club B and Imperial A rounding out the top 10. Very provisional, and obviously if there are crews that haven't finished yet, they can still move up into those top positions. But at the moment, that is what the top 10 is looking like.
Yeah. Some of these crews later on in the draw will be looking to make an impact, to slot themselves into those provisional results, to beat the times that have been laid out, and they'll just have to hang on with bated breath. Now we're back with City of Cambridge here. Heads up in the crew, and you can just see on the horizon Barnes Bridge coming into view. Very calm coxing here from Paulina Labrizzi. Nothing too wild, nothing too shouty. And she's just letting the crew know that the bridge is there, putting them onto the course because they'll be trying to keep their eyes in, Will. There's a lot going on, isn't there, when you've got that number of crews around you?
A huge number of distractions, especially if you're overtaking or being overtaken. You're worrying about steering. It's not like when you're rowing on a 2,000 metre course and you've got very, very little going on around you. Just trying to pick out that crew on the far side, possibly Maidstone Invicta, crew number 59. Let me just quickly check my my start list. Was indeed Maidstone Invicta A over on the far side of the course.
More tranquil scenes at the start there as we filter out that basin as crews start to turn and start their races. It just gets a little bit quieter as we go down the draw. Maidstone Invicta there still in shot, crew number 59, and good views there of Emma Moss in the Cox's seat, driving on Ben Finch, stroking that crew down the course. Crew number 139 now, Nottingham University. This is Nottingham's C crew. And Fergus, we can see from our pictures here that things are seeming to get a little bit quieter. What's the atmosphere now like that we've got some of these sort of middle of the pack crews going off?
So by my eyes, that's crew 138, 139, Nottingham University, just heading through the start. So I think we've got at least another 120 odd crews to get over this start line, which is phenomenal. We've had racing underway for about 40 minutes or so now, and I reckon about another half an hour or so before actually we've got all of our crews who actually cross the finish line. Plenty of folks still sat up here either on the banks just watching the start, lots of cyclists coming by, stopping, seeing all the action unfolding, because of course this hasn't happened since 2019. We've had a couple of our large head races over the course of this year, Force Head back in November, and we're starting to get some of the larger ones happening now with Schools Head of the River and Women's Head a couple of weeks ago. But it's first running of the Men's Head since 2019, and plenty of support out in the bank, lots of coaches cycling up and down following their crews all the way down the course, trying to get the most out of their athletes.
And what's been your favourite thing to see so far, Fergus, from where you've been this morning?
Do you know what, I think from this position here, just up at Putney Town Rowing Club, I think the best thing, probably about 5 minutes or so before everything started, and we had 150 crews all in position between Quinton Boat Club and University of London Boat House as well. So a huge 150 crews all sort of slotted in together. Organised chaos, I think, as Will described it earlier on, is the perfect way to see it. And then we see them spinning, getting ready to race, and then motoring down the course towards you guys at the finish line.
Next course, ready? Now!
So we're now on the course with crew 74. This is the Cambridge University Lightweights. We saw some footage of them on board at the start, and victorious from last week's lightweight race. They would have raced this in reverse, Will.
Yeah, very, very different views for the athletes. They'd have raced on the traditional university race course. The lightweights obviously moving to the tideweight in recent years, both for Cambridge men and women. But huge encouragement there from Felix, Craig McFeely in the Cox's seat, really encouraging on as lightweight charges in this Cambridge University lightweight crew, trying to punch up there with some of these big heavyweight nights.
Yeah, great to hear the Coxes on board, get a sense of what it's like to be riding in these last couple of 100 metres. Excuse any language that you're hearing, we obviously can't control the Coxes' demands, but it certainly hurts a lot in these final few strokes. And when you're in let's go, build the leads, and Cambridge Lightweights will be finished in just 2 strokes time and through the line. Great to get that audio feeling of what that must be like to charge through those final few strokes. Now, speaking of which, a very different style here in the city of Cambridge, a lot more calm. Glutes are on is the call that we're hearing, and really important to make sure that you're being efficient with your stroke. Well, we've talked about how long this race is.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no point in throwing all of your beads in it and then being out of energy by the time you're through Barnes Bridge. We saw the difference in pacing earlier when we were looking at those timings. That Leander B crew that went to Barnes, the second ahead of Oxford Brookes B. On the provisional results, they're 20 seconds behind Oxford Brookes B. So big difference in pacing there. We also might see with that Coxing that you may want to start just a bit more relaxed, and as it gets through the race, it becomes a little bit more punchy. It is trying to extract every last bit of energy out of your athletes. A couple more of our crews working their way down towards the finish line now. That looks like maybe 73 on the right-hand side of the screen. And then 78 just coming in at the bottom. That's Cambridge City A. Going back up to the start, and we've got Blue Star, Camilla.
Is that Blue Star though? It looked like Runcorn Rowing Club to me. They had Runcorn Rowing Club on the side of their boat, so I think that is crew 152. Oh, Liverpool, that would make a lot of sense, because Liverpool and Runcorn are obviously very close. I saw Runcorn on the side of the boat. So Liverpool University B. They had a great British University Championships head race, Will, just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, really impressive, picking up some medals in the intermediate categories there, which for Liverpool going up against some of the really big universities, Newcastle, Durham, Edinburgh, etc. Really impressive. Crew number 82, the East India Club, coming into the closing stages of their race now.
And the despite their name, are based in London. Am I correct there, Will?
Yes, I believe you are. Crew number 158, that's Bath University, that's their B crew. Just coming up towards the start line now. The Cox Khalifa Kelly sitting in the Cox's seat, looking at Tom Fox in the stroke seat.
So much depth, you know, crews. We've already talked about some of the bigger universities having B, C, D, E, and in some instances F crews, but great to see some of the other programmes fielding B and C crews, Bath and so on. Just goes to show you how popular this race is. Now, we're back with City of Cambridge. More calm instructions coming from the Cox seat. And really positive feedback going to them. Obviously really enjoying this spell as they come round the bend. It looks like, I think they're just going around the sort of Chiswick at Surrey Bend.
So we've got a few more results coming through now as we see a gaggle of crews. That is Blue Star now, almost certain of that, the Newcastle University alumni, ahead of two other crews. But just having a quick look at some of the other results that have come through now from some of the crews a bit further down. We've got Edinburgh University punched themselves right up there in 12th position. And looking down at some of the others, London Rowing Club A started 31st, they finished 16th. Good showing there for London Rowing Club.
And of course Provisional, but yeah, we saw Blue Star Club just going past us there, and Fergus, we've already said Blue Star Club, the alumni of Newcastle University, they've got such a great network. How do you guys go about fielding athletes to convince them to come back and race Head of the River?
Yeah, it's a fantastic alumni network that they've got, and it's one that's very much grown over the past few years or so. One where they were able to head out to Head of the Charles pre-COVID, sending two men's eights and a women's eight out to race there as well. But I think it's worth noting that I think we ourselves are very lucky to have the big alumni network. But you look at other clubs as well, particularly University of London with Tyrian Club, a very active alumni network as well. And also very big with Bristol University as well. So it's programmes that are you see all over the country with these big alumni networks, and many other universities, St Andrews in particular, starting to grow theirs, just so their athletes they leave university, but then they've still got a community they can enter into and race with at events such as this, or overseas, or at Henley Town and Visitors as well.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have one of our Scottish alumni crews, Heart of Scotland Boat Club, with one of our onboard cameras starting later on. We saw City of Cambridge there going underneath Hammersmith Bridge. Great to see the crowds able to be there on Hammersmith Bridge. There's been some issues with Hammersmith Bridge, both for pedestrians and also for rowers. So great to see that. We've got 4 boats now, pretty much neck and neck, coming through Thames, and it's the crew on the bottom of your screen that are charging through, Camilla.
Yeah, that looks like to me, I think it's one of the German crews actually. I recognise the Lycra. I'm not sure if that is either Munich or Zurich on the near side, but just having a quick look at our draw, seeing if we can figure out who we've got on the screen at the moment. I think that is Imperial College D, which would make sense. Crew number 94 in the middle of your picture, rowing past their home crew. So that to me would then indicate that is crew 95, AR Westfalen of Germany, motoring through this final few hundred metres. But what a pack coming into the finish here. That must be quite overwhelming if you're in the middle of that group of boats.
Yeah, really, really tough for the Coxes, especially if you're sandwiched in the middle there. To try and get that balance right, and wanting to get the right water but not getting too close to the boats either on your left and right side. Another boat down the bottom of the screen, just charging in towards the finish now.
And you can just see everyone parading through Putney Bridge at the end. They've got to row around and cool down. but certainly a crew not cooling down yet, not on their minds. City of Cambridge, we are still with high quality and high standards. Some great calls here coming from the cocks, just to keep things sharp. There's no shouting, there's no, you know, huge amount of urgency. Just knows the right words to say at the right time.
Yeah, very, very different approaches we've heard from our different on-board coxes.
And I just heard them say bowel there. I think we can't quite see it from the wide angle of our camera, but I think they're probably looking to overtake a crew. We usually hear that word bowel from in the boat when they're looking to do an overtake. Now, from our finished camera, can we see them just yet? Not quite. That's crew 10 that's coming into the view on the right-hand side of your picture. Liverpool University A on the right, and Exeter Swansea University, apologies, 109 on your left. So two University A go toe to toe down this final stretch.
Yeah, many of these university crews that will have they'll be very familiar from racing against each other at Bucks and other events, and then finding themselves up against each other on the Tideway as well. Going back to our start now, that almost looks like it could be Abingdon.
So crew number 184, that is Downing College. So
completely wrong there from me, my apologies.
No, very similar colour. I totally see where you were getting that from, but Downing College, Cambridge. We get a lot of the university colleges entering as their boat clubs. Great to see such a range, actually.
Yeah, for sure. And if you row at a Oxford or a Cambridge college especially, there's a huge amount of competition in the colleges, but they don't always go and compete on the British rowing circuit that often. So great to have them racing here at the head of the river and putting themselves up against some of the club and other university crews that they wouldn't always necessarily get the opportunity to race against.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure still lots of inter-club rivalry and inter-university rivalry with these crews. So there's Downing College, Cambridge going off the start. Harry Barker in the stroke seat, setting the rhythm. And you can just hear the difference in noise between the start, where it's very calm, and the finish now, where we've got crew 116. That's Dulwich College, and our onboard camera with City of Cambridge B 117.
Yeah, so we could see the City of Cambridge have been following all the way down now in the view of our cameras at Thames Rowing Club, looking like they are closing up on Dulwich College in front of them. You can see that there now.
Yeah, so that's the crew there on the far side of your picture that we've had that onboard camera with. Great to see them from the outside. See where they are on the river, overtaking, it looks like Dulwich, or trying to at least. You can see there Dulwich just on the right hand side of the picture. It's great to get that in-boat shot of this attempted overtake into the final bits, but still that very calm, commanding voice of Helena Labrizzi in the cox's seat.
Yeah, as you can see, they've got a good amount of overlap on that Dulwich College. It might be a Dulwich either alumni or coach's crew, perhaps. Seeing some names in there that I'm fairly sure aren't based aren't Dulwich College alumni. But City of Cambridge just getting a bit of overlap on Dulwich now, and they'll be using them as a marker to try and inch ahead.
400 meters, less than 400 meters, boys.
400 metres, the cox is saying. Helena Labrizzi saying to Oliver Utley, last bit to press through.
That's what it was all for.
Yeah, great call there. Make the training hours work for them.
Nice to lose, boys.
I think that's just sit and listen.
Yeah, this is why
These final few hundred metres.
This is accurate. There we are. Good. Yeah, boys. All right, I'm going to pass their top 2 strokes. Sit up
It's just the Cox of the City of Cambridge there giving the distance markers, saying that she wants to be past the Cox of that Dulwich crew within the next 2 strokes, giving your crew, telling them where they are, but also giving them a target of where you want them to be, making something that's a bit more measurable. Really, really helps.
Stay together. Yep. All right, and let's wind it down. No, not yet, not yet. Keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on racing. Keep on racing. Yep.
Just a small early finish there, actually, from the Cox, and you heard the Britty correct it, didn't you? There, she said, "Not yet. We need to keep pushing through the line," and that is a really important thing, whether you're on a head race or a regatta course. That we've seen some of these results that are trickling through are separated by less than a second, so that last and final stroke really does count.
Yeah, that's a great point, kind of really knowing where that finish line is, making sure you're going all the way to it, that you're expending yourself right up to that point. A great point you mentioned there about how close some of the timings are. Edinburgh and Newcastle University, 2 big university rivals, race a lot in the north of England and in Scotland, separated by just 0.1 of a second for 12th and 13th. Really, really tight. We've got 122, 125, 124, all absolutely neck and neck here. So we've got at the bottom of the screen 122, that is Butler College from Durham, 125 Pembroke College, Cambridge, they're on the far side in the dark boat, and then trying to come through the middle, 124, that's York University A.
Very brave of that Cox from York University A, Florence Chadwick, trying to go through the middle of these 2 crews, and it's quite a bold move to try and get yourself tangled in those blades, but confident she can do that, Florence Chadwick, and a little bit of space opening up as Butler move towards the Putney embankment. They're opening up to try and make way for the faster crews, which is exactly what that crew should be doing. But as they come into the line, I'm sure they'll be really grateful of the challenge of going up against another crew.
Yeah, great competition there from all those boats, and good sort of responsible coxing as well, trying to avoid any chances of a collision. We'll be mentioning the results if you do want to have a look at the results for today. They're obviously very provisional, and they're coming through slowly as they're being checked. But you can go to horr.co.uk/results, and you can find the live link to results from today. And see, as soon as they are fully published and verified, we'll be able to say with certainty what has happened. But you can see intermediate times at Barnes and Hammersmith, and you can see the finish times as well. And just having a look at those, it is still Oxford Brookes A, Leander A and Oxford Brookes B that are in those top 3 positions. Looking at some of the other pennants, currently Oxford Brookes C with the University, Thames Rowing Club for the Vernon Trophy, which is for clubs based on the Tideway, Molesey Boat Club of the Page, which is for clubs based in the south, and the prize giving is going to be at 3 p.m. today at Thames Rowing Club, if anyone is around and wants to go down and celebrate our fantastic winners from today.
Yeah, and more crews looking to challenge for those trophies. And on the near side here, that looks like Notts County Rowing Association crew number 137 on the near side here. And it's Bristol Aerial that they're overtaking on the far side, another crew from Bristol. And a really good overtake there, almost a length made up by Notts County Rowing Association in their final sprint. And actually that's something we've seen reflected in a lot of the intermediary times, you know, lots of time gained between Hammersmith and the finish, so it certainly isn't over until it's over if you've got a good sprint in the tank.
Oh definitely, you've got to and pacing it all the way so you're not losing time as well. But you can see there we've got 137 overtaken 132. The start order for the head is usually based off your finish order from the previous time, and obviously that was 3 years ago now, so clubs can have had a huge amount of change into how fast they're going. So especially in this mid-pack we can see some quite big speed differentials from one crew to the next. So you can see Notts County there overtaking the crew that started 5 places ahead of them. So that's going to have been a really, really tricky job for the Cox, the Notts County crew, Rosie Stokes, to have wound away through some of those other crews and you've got to really keep your wits about you. It's maybe a bit easier being a coxer, one of those top crews, because we very rarely see Boxer Brooks or Leander overtaking each other, because the differences in speed are always quite small.
Yeah, that's so true. I think as we get further down the pack, and given especially the situation, like you said, Will, with COVID, we've got a lot of turnover of clubs, different members, different crews. Certainly not the same as 3 years ago when this race last happened. So there can be a lot of overtaking. And in your picture now, another local crew, crew number 210. This is Team Keane, who rowed out of the University of London Boathouse. They'll know this river particularly well, and that's great for some of the home crews. And my word, even more overtaking going on here in the final strokes for the crews between sort of 100 to 150 now, coming in front of Thames Rowing Club for the finish.
Yeah, another big, massive cruise. It looks like maybe got a Manchester University crew on the right-hand side. As you want the rowing club going through the centre. So Walton crew number 143, Manchester University crew 141.
Yeah, Walton doing a great job there. Walton Rowing Club A. Piercing their way through the middle of two crews. Big challenge, as we've said already. We're almost into the final batch of crews. Crew number 212 there. That looks like Oriel Kensington to me. Another local crew who'll get plenty of support just before Hammersmith Bridge. They'll be keeping their ears out for that.
Potentially look like Warwick University with those blades.
And Royal Chester, it looks like, following them up. We saw them go off the start, that Royal Chester crew.
Royal Chester B, number 148. Great headwear being rocked by the stroke seat there, just keeping the long hair in tow.
Yeah, it's still all go, still all action. Crew number 216 now. Canterbridgian Rowing Club B. They had they had a win in one of the categories at the Women's Eights Head of the River just a few weeks ago, looking to replicate success here inside. And a great contest here between crew 150 and crew 151. Crew 150 City of Cambridge C and crew 151 Dublin University C, going stroke for stroke here. Just goes to show you that 6.8 kilometres sometimes just isn't enough.
Yeah, absolutely not. And it looks like it is Dublin University over on the far side that are just inching themselves ahead. They have started behind the crew from the City of Cambridge, and just now as they go into the last 500 metres, just poking their bow balls out in front. And it's such a great feeling when you do overtake a crew and you can start to see them in your peripheral vision. You can then push them away, and it can be really tough if you are a crew that is being overtaken, that once you then lose sight of that boat that's going past you, to get back onto it and not lose too much faith.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough going, whether you're the overtaking crew or the one being overtaken, and plenty of it here at the 2022 head of the river race. But still glorious conditions here. We can see the sunshine reflecting off the water here on the tideway. Very unusual for a head of the river race and for a March day. We are absolutely blessed with the weather conditions and how tranquil it is for crew number 220, who will now go off the start. University College Durham, another college crew from the University of Durham, coxed by Phoebe Curtin, who can just about here telling her crew to paddle on through the start.
Yeah, sort of great representation from the Durham colleges here. Seen the Durham University's beginner crew actually now coming down later. Some really strong performances from those beginners at the Bucks Head on their home water in Newcastle just a few weeks ago. But we've seen Butler College, Hatfield, no St Hills, Bede have got 2.8s racing. I think Collingwood are here. So fantastic to see so many of those Durham crews travelling so far to be with us today.
Yeah, so that's the Durham beginner crew. You can hear the shouts for them. So plenty of beginners as well. Can you imagine trying to take on a piece of this piece of water on the tideway for the first time ever? That would be quite something. Now, recognisable kit here. This looks like to me the RAF, Her Majesty's Forces crew. Each of the forces have their own boat club and do tend to come and contest this depending on the get to most years.
Yeah, it can be often quite hard to get crews together consistently to train, being based all over the country in different bases and some of them overseas as well. But great that they are here racing. We've got 3 more crews really tight, trying to see if we can pick up any of these boat numbers. That looks like University College London crew 163 going past crew 161.
Yeah, that does look indeed correct. Grey College, again another Durham University College crew. They've come down in force, but they are being taken by one of the University of London colleges, UCL, which is a separate boat club. We must pretend, if you're here to watch the University of London, that is a separate rowing club to UCL, who you can see here on the right hand side of your picture.
Yeah, if you can see that light blue stripe going down the side of the all-in-ones and also on the end of the blades, distinguishes the University of London and the University College London boat clubs. And train out of different boat houses as well. UCL usually based out of Tideway Scullers, just a few hundred metres downstream of the University of London. A great shot of UCL and Grey College as they come up towards the line, looking pretty neck and neck into their last few strokes.
So that cruise 161 and 163, completing the course just in front of Putney Pier. Remember, we've got almost 300 crews here to get through, so we're just over halfway. Oh, a little bit of a tussle here going into the finish. Not sure why, but now the Heart of Scotland crew. We should have a camera on board with these guys potentially. We'll wait to see if the technology is with us, but this Heart of Scotland crew number 230 is a mix of sort of university alumni, right, Will?
Yeah, so Heart of Scotland is the alumni boat club for Heriot Watt University, based out of Edinburgh. And we can see our shot now. We've got Emily Kidd in the cox's seat and Gregor Hall in the stroke seat. Gregor Hall, I think, is now based out of Stirling Rowing Club. Very good lightweight rower, often seen performing very well at the Scottish Indoor Championships. And he is stroking this Heart of Scotland crew. And as we were saying, talking to Fergus about Blue Star earlier, it's a great way for universities to keep in touch with alumni, to give them the opportunities to keep on racing. Some of them might not have picked up an oar in a few years, and some of them have maybe training with other clubs. We can see another crew coming up towards the finish now, which couldn't quite pick up. There looks like maybe 171. That is Fitzwilliam College, Cambridge A. They're rowing in a little bit of a vacuum at the moment, which can be tough both for the coxes and for the rowers, especially if you're not as familiar with the water and you haven't got a line to follow. If you've got no one really in front of you, no one really behind you, getting that motivation to push off.
Yeah, and fans up at the start, that's Surrey University Boat Club, just watching the crews go by as they turn and face the start, face Chiswick Bridge, and all they can do is wait nervously to see their finishing position. We can see University of Surrey Boat Club's crew finished in 57th provisionally. So those spectators at the start hopefully will have seen that and know their result, but they'll be keen in this beautiful river to sit and watch the rest of the cruise go by.
Absolutely. We've got 174 coming down now, and then 2 more crews quite close behind. So we've got St Bart's, the medical school, based out of London, number 174, those black and white checkered blades. And then just trying to pick up on the 2 crews that are coming up behind. So that might be Hughes Hawk 175.
And then Sheffield University, it looks like to me, crew 173, the distinctive yellow checkers of Sheffield University on the far side. And indeed the near side's actually crew 177, Pembroke College, Cambridge. B in the coxswain seat, Toby Lovick, charging them away from Sheffield University C. Still so much support, you can hear the atmosphere on the bank. It's always such a great day to be on the embankment at Putney.
Yeah, and especially actually as we're moving into some of these slightly lower down crews, there's been a lot of the people that will have finished will have already taken their boat off the water. If you're boating from Putney, will have taken their boat off the water, put it down, and then maybe come out to support some of those other crews. Great shot there of the Sheffield crew as they're coming down towards the line. Sheffield C. Robert Way in the coxswain seat, Max Hahn in the stroke seat, and we're back on board with Heart of Scotland, looking like they're very close with another crew on their stroke side. Can't quite pick out if they are overtaking or being overtaken. It looks like I think they're maybe pushing through this crew actually, based just on the looks like they're pushing up on them as they're slowly moving out of shot. Work out who that might be based on the
We'll join them in just a second. We've got a flurry of crews now coming in front of Thames Rowing Club where our camera is based. If you're just joining us, we are just over halfway through the crews coming through the finish line here at the 2022 head of the river race. That to me looks like Harriet East Anglia, my apologies, East Anglia, followed by Downing College, crew number 184, and then, gosh, Imperial Medics perhaps on the near side, Edinburgh University on the far side. But we're back to that overtake now. Heart of Scotland, we're back in the boat, we're through Barnes Bridge with them. You can just see the pain there on the face of the stroke man, Gregor Hall, who will have been setting the rhythm for this crew, trying to push through and overtake.
A fantastic kit there on the Heart of Scotland crew, the unicorn rampant.
The unicorn is the national animal of Scotland.
Yes, indeed. Great shot there of all these crews so close together coming up towards the finish. See that Downing College crew maybe just drifting off slightly to the stroke side. We do have a bit of a sort of foreshortening effect here. I don't think those crews necessarily quite as close, otherwise you might have seen the bow side blades of the Downing College crew hitting the East Anglia crew just in front. But we're rattling through our crews now, so we've got 230 on the course, at least with Heart of Scotland. So you can see Molesey Boat Club down just below us here at Putney Town. So we've got some of these crews that have had to have rowed back all the way to the start line from the finish based on where you're boating, which can be a really, really long row, and a nice little piggyback there for the Cox and Molesey crew.
Yeah, Molesey Boat Club A looks like just finishing short of Thames Rowing Club A by just 2 seconds, finishing provisionally overall in 7th position, but we'll keep waiting for those results to be confirmed. Back down at the finish now. This to me looks like Queen's Cambridge on your screen. Crew number 191 coming in front of that very distinctive big stone wall that will be absolutely packed now, but also next Sunday on the 3rd of April for the University Boat Race.
Yeah, it's going to be healing full of spectators. Great to have the boat races back on the tideway. So Fergus, we've seen some of those crews coming back into the land from the finish. Do most of them look pretty happy with their results, or mostly just very tired?
I think the latter, Will. I think mostly very tired. It's been a long old road back from Wolseley Boat Club back to Putney Town. They've just raced 6.8 kilometres and they've just paddled 6.8 kilometres back. But a good day so far for Wolseley Boat Club, as you've alluded to already. Their first 8 safely inside the top 10, and their second 8 safely inside the top 20 as well. So a very, very good day. However, just as you mentioned, just losing out to Thames Rowing Club's A crew, so perhaps disappointment with that result, Will.
Yeah, a lot of these crews will be eyeing each other up, ready for racing later on in the summer, but this is the most important head race of their season. Now, a battle of the colleges, Hillbead, and a man that's going to be very excited to talk about Hillbead Boat Club, Will Horrocks, another one of your alma mater. Looks like they're overtaking.
Yes, crew 189, the Dairy Boys, the second 8 from St Hill and St Bede College Boat Club, the finest boat club on the whole River Wear, overtaking, I think, another Durham College on the near side. Yep, so it's 189, Hillbead B, Hannah Hanselman in the Cox's seat. I'm just trying to pick up the number of the crew that they are overtaking. Didn't quite pick out the number that's on the back. There's it, 188 Birmingham University B, the beginner crew from the University of Birmingham, being overtaken by it's the same boat that I used to row in back in 2011. So it's still going strong there for Hillbead. Oh, and a crab there from the 2-seat of the Birmingham crew, but a very quick recovery. That from there where your blade gets stuck in the water, and you see it push the 2-seat of the Birmingham crew all the way back, but managed to get the blade out very quickly, Camilla.
Yeah, really good recovery there, especially from the beginners at Birmingham. Remember, beginners, they'll have only started rowing in sort of September, October of last year, and and I think that the sort of confidence it takes to take on a huge piece of river. You know, in Birmingham they row actually on the river in Worcester, which is by no means as wide or as tidal as it is here. A bit of a clash going on, and I think again just a little bit of a lack of experience steering perhaps from the Cox and the Birmingham crew, and perhaps the Hillbead crew as well. This is the first time a lot of these guys will have done this level and size of race. Now, another local crew that looks like Fulham Reach Boat Club, who do so much great stuff for outreach of the sport. They've had quite an amazing story, haven't they?
Yeah, really amazing story. So came out as part of a housing development that was built on the north bank of the river around Hammersmith Bridge, and the funding for the boat club to be built. And they've done an amazing job of working, especially with local schools in the mostly within Hammersmith and Fulham, to get them that wouldn't normally have a chance to be involved in rowing, a chance to try rowing out and give a new sport a try. Really impressive work done by them over the last few years. Now crew number 194, the B crew from Glasgow University, is coming up towards the end there. Another beginner crew, Camilla.
Yeah, another beginner crew. Great to see so many beginner crews taking on the tideway. For beginner programs to be back up and running after a few years where they've been a bit depleted. Obviously with COVID, it's hit a lot of the university teams really hard, not being able to get out on the river. Now, we were on board earlier with City of Cambridge B. We've seen City of Cambridge D come down the course. Now, sorry, C. Now this is City of Cambridge D. What depth with City of Cambridge. A huge entry for them. Amazing to see.
Yeah, really impressive for a town-based club. We've got Oriel Kensington crew 203, looking like they are racing up against.
That's Durham Amateur Rowing Club on the near side. It looks like to me. Dark as their known crew 205. Stephanie Burgess in Cox's seat is having to lean outside of the boat quite dramatically to try and change its direction. You can see her there on the near side of your picture doing a lot of moving her arms quite a bit. Not sure if there's something wrong with the steering cable or not. But we'll zoom in to get as much of that picture as we can. They are powering away from Oriel Kensington, or attempting to, with these final few strokes.
Yeah, that's really astonishing. I'm trying to work out exactly what the cox of the Durham Amateur boat is trying to do in there, whether there's something that's stuck on the boat maybe. But it's actually been able to hold a pretty straight line down through the line of boats and is moving through that crew 203 Oriel Kensington. So we then got 295 just at the bottom of the shot.
I think perhaps maybe even 196, 195 or 196. Let's have a quick look. I think, yeah, 196 Imperial College's beginner crew. So many beginner crews in this short kind of section of crews between sort of 150 and 200. All of those universities testing their speed of their beginners before the British University Championships, which will take place on the first weekend of May. Now, another international crew here overseas. This is Westfalen from Germany, and great to have the international interest back. Certainly was not the case over COVID. No travelling, even if the head race could take place. But fantastic that they feel comfortable enough now to make the journey.
Yes, absolutely. You see another one of our crews now coming down towards the finish. This looks like Team Keen. We saw them going off the start earlier. Another club that does some good outreach with schools in the local area.
Yeah, lots of programmes for learning to row. Team Keen, one of those. This is a junior crew, so all under 18s. And we're back with, it looks like another crew from Durham Amateur Rowing Club. 276 now going off the start. And again, we're going to have a sort of mixture of junior crews, beginner crews, and apologies, that is Provisional Rowing Club.
Yeah, cocked by Josh Craven, Will Edwards in the stroke seat, that crew for Grosvenor. And we've got another Oriel Kensington crew, crew number 212, Oriel Kensington D now, so another club that's had some fantastic strength and depth. Oriel Kensington based on the course, just on the upstream side of Hammersmith Bridge.
We saw James Fishlock in the bow seat there for that AKD crew. He'll be the first man to cross the line in a few moments' time. It's then
Northampton Rowing Club crew 213.
Great to see Northampton here. They were on the River Nene up in the East Midlands. They host their own head race in January, the head of the River Nene, and great to see them here competing with an 8 at head of the river race.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing the huge variety of clubs that we've got here. We've got the sort of the very, very top level clubs of the athletes with international aspirations. We've got universities, we've got clubs where you might see a huge age range, and we've got schools as well, all competing in the same water, all at the same time. Bristol University crew number 37, you can just see them heading back to their boathouse at Mortlake Anglian Alpha Boat Club. Started 37, provisional finishing position 31st, so a bit of an improvement there. And we've now got crew 219 coming down towards the
Another crew
finishing area.
Another crew from the East Midlands, that's Derby Rowing Club. You can see the cocks there. Ewan Cornish.
And a club that's got a good integration with the university as well. So we see University of Derby and Derby Rowing Club rowing with the same kit, often sharing the same boats. You can good to see the club sort of integrating with the university as well.
So back up at the start, things will really be filtering out. We're getting into the sort of mid-200s of crews, and still up there with us, Fergus Mainland. Fergus, how has the atmosphere changed between sort of 10 o'clock this morning when we saw the first crew Oxford Brooks go off, and now? Well, which crew have you got going off in front of you?
Crews or so to go before this year's Head of the River. All the crews cross the finish line, but just passing in front of us again, playing another one of these Oxford and Cambridge College crews. Plenty of them out on the course today, but it's starting to die down up here, and we've got plenty of the crews now returning to their respective boathouse. Newcastle University now back as well, so we're dying down now, but still plenty of crews, about 15 or so, looking at Exeter University at the moment, crew 291, the next across the line and have their crack at Head of the River 2022.
Yeah, so I think we're going to just have the last crew, 295. There may have been some crews that may have got to the start late, so they may have just been shuffled to the back. We can see coming down towards the finish now, crew 223, Winchester College A, one of our junior crews. Looking very, very strong as they race towards the finish line. So after some of these schools that have raced Schools Head on a very similar but slightly shorter course probably just over a week ago, and then doing the same again. Crew 293 now, King's College C, just coming up towards the start, so one of our last crews, they're going to be going off the start line here.
Yeah, and they have been waiting for this whole time, right? They'll have voted at the same time as everyone else and rode up at the start, so they've been waiting a really long time to have their turn, and now they'll get their crack at the course. Trafford Rowing Club now on the screen, crew number 222, just approaching the finish at Putney Pier. Trafford Rowing Club, coxed by Cara Lotes, Paul Smithson in the stroke seats, keeping them at a nice steady rhythm into the finish. And I think we've got our last crew now crossing the start line up with Fergus, and on our notes that should have been crew number 295, Staines Boat Club B. And Fergus, well, I mean, can you summarise your sort of overarching thoughts from this morning's start of Head of the River race?
I think it's a narrative that we've been seeing actually over the past year, with all the racing returning. I think for any sporting occasion that's been going on over the past 12 months or so, the big theme has been that of returning to racing, returning to action. And I think over the course of the next 12 months or so, it'll be re-engaging crews will be the next important thing. Bringing entry numbers back up to what they were at COVID. I think you've already mentioned having the international crews back, which has just been phenomenal. We've had a huge number of overseas crews, be it from Ireland or from Germany or from further afield, and to have them back racing is outstanding. And 295 crews that we've had off this morning, all hopefully safely making it down to the finish line. But as we come out of COVID, as we come out of this pandemic, it's a case of looking to see this event grow back up to its to what it has been before over the next 12 months or so, and having it back bigger than ever next year.
Yeah, we've in the past almost 400 crews, I think, is where we've been at. We're hoping that it will get back to that in years to come. But 295 crews of any description is pretty good going. And next over towards the line is another junior crew from Molesey Boat Club, and they've got their final few hundred metres now. The support still absolutely buzzing on the Putney embankment. You can hear the chatter, you can hear the noise. Still plenty of support here for these junior athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got all of our crews on the course now, so we're probably in about 20 minutes or so we're going to see them coming across the line. And shout out to some of the supporters that have allowed this event to happen today, as well as we see Crew 236 Nottingham Union B. You've seen down at the start line Fergus Mainland Rockington, fantastically lovely stash from Rock the Boat clothing. You can buy official Head of the River merchandise from the Rock the Boat website, or you can find their stand outside Vesta Rowing Club on the Putney embankment. You can also get official photographs from today's racing from Ben Rodford Photography. And we're also very grateful to Active Tools for their sponsorship of the Head of the River. You can go for purchasing their Coxorbs, stroke meters, adjustable shoes, and plenty of other rowing equipment. So thank you to all of our sponsors for supporting Head of the River this year.
So just a few of the things you can purchase through their website there. Crew number 231 now, the final 60 or so crews left to come. 231 Furnival, Cox to Pike, Joshua Morgan. Shot to a few of returning crews now. Molesey Boat Club, who have rowed all that way back up to the start. Starting cameras just capturing those moments of them coming in, reflecting on their race, recovering. That to me looks like the Molesey Boat Club B crew. Ollie Knight in the stroke seat. Tideway Scullers now. They will have rowed past their own home club, their boat club, at the start. They'll know this piece of river extremely well. This junior crew, Tideway Scullers C, crew number 244, will be next through past our camera at Thames Rowing Club.
Strong Tideway Scullers School junior squad did around the in the Forley Challenge Cup at Henley last year. So good pedigree all across all age groups there from Tideway Scullers School. That is their C crew coming down to finish their race at the Head of the River. Their women's eight did fantastically at the women's head just a couple of weeks ago. We have
their women's eight, their overall women's eight came third a few weeks ago for Tideway Scullers, their best ever results since the 90s, and so they'll be looking to reflect that here at Head of the River. Their top cruise provisional results, well, just looking now, Tideway Scullers School B finishing 41st provisionally, Tideway Scullers School A 63rd, and this is Tideway Scullers School C that will be awaiting their finish time as soon as possible. Remember, you can catch all the results. Just head over to the website and you'll be able to see all of the results. There's Molesey Boat Club now, just coming off the water with coach Franz Infeld there in the foreground, looking on. I wonder whether they're satisfied with their performance overall. We'll certainly see at some point soon.
And we've talked about strength and depth in clubs. I think this may be the best we've seen. Vesta Rowing Club's G crew here, crew 243. You can hear a lot of noise from Vesta. They're just over the road from Thames Rowing Club. I can see Camilla doing some quick counting on her fingers. What is the G crew, Camilla?
This is their 7th boat, Wells.
This is their 7th boat. That's absolutely astonishing. That there's 56 athletes and 7 coxes.
You can hear the support from Vesta on the bank there, where the boat is based. In fact, Vesta Rowing Club are in this final few hundred metres. Lots of people propping up the Vesta bar, I'm sure, supporting on this glorious day. There's always a lot of people. It's a hub of activity.
I don't think they need that much encouragement to prop up the Vesta bar, Camilla. But yet, Vesta G Crew 243 charging down towards the finish line now. Yet, Vesta Rowing Club probably just about 10 metres or so to the right of where our camera is positioned. Crew 82 getting back to the finish, their boating location at Winton Boat Club. That's East India Club. They finish their race. East India Club started 82nd, finishing 117th. Crew 250 now, coming up towards the finish line.
Edmund Hall now on the screen. Crew number 250, Marie-Claire Jalaguer in the coxswain seat. And Adam Pattenden just trying to keep his crew in check in the stroke seat, trying to keep that timing through to the finish as things start to get a little bit furious. This is Putney Town Rowing Club, where we see all those crews pushing off to boat at the very start of the race. Looking
at crew 247 now, Globe Rowing Club, based out of the east of London, coming up into their last 500 metres or so, passing Thames Rowing Club.
So just another 50 or so crews to go now to complete the Head of the River Race 2022. Globe Rowing Club will be really driven on by the spectators on the bank. As we said all morning, we've had such a great day for it, such great weather, and we're back on board now. This is Cardiff University, and looks like they're going for an overtake and a few blade clashes. We're right in the mix here. You feel like you're really in it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. We're just past Hammersmith Bridge. We're just past Fulham Reach Boat Club on the left-hand side, coming up towards the that distinctive Richard Rogers architect building on the Middlesex bank. But Cardiff there have absolutely motored through that crew, going through on the inside of that Surrey bend.
Yeah, it looked like there was a little bit of clashing there, but their cops asking them to push off that clash. And that's Cardiff University 273. Annabelle Watkins' voice you can hear here over the speakers. We'll catch up with them in just a moment as they come into the final kilometre through Hammersmith Bridge. But a few more scenes here from Thames Rowing Club before the finish, and to me that looks like Cambridge 99s, I think. We will confirm, that's just from my eye looking at the kit.
Yes, I think you're right, Camilla. Crew 253, Cambridge 99C. By Zainan Ahmed, stroke by Jack Sapansky.
And they've got quite a gap over the next crew, which I think, given the colour of the boat, is most likely Churchill College.
Yes, Churchill College. Both the boat and the blades, good to have them matching. Got a UCL crew rowing back up to the start at the bottom of the screen. Yes, that's it, Cambridge 99s. You're drifting a little bit closer to the Middlesex bank than you would like, just to stay in that stream coming towards the finish. But back on board with these Cardiff University beginners. The only crew from Cardiff that are here representing, so good to see their beginners out representing the club here at the Head of the River, and big thanks to them for agreeing to let us stick one of our cameras on their boat.
And like we said, only one crew from Cardiff University, and it's their beginners. A lot of smaller programmes depleted by the lack of programmes through COVID, so great that they've got an 8 back together now. Crew 263 pushing through crew 257, lots of overtaking for them. Lincair Boat Club
So Lineker Boat Club, they're moving through 257, which is Southampton University's C crew, another beginner crew. Going to go with some fantastically distinctive blades. You have to remember that one for next time. Not going to forget those again in a hurry. Lineker Boat Club looking very neat and tidy for a crew starting where they are in the draw. Wouldn't be surprised to see them finishing pretty high up in the results based on how well they're rowing down the course here.
Yeah, we know that they've gone through a lot of crews. 263 overtaking 257, so we'll wait with anticipation to see where they finish up. But as we've had some crews coming off the water now towards the start, we're going to come back to Fergus, who's managed to catch up with some of the Molesey Boat Club athletes that raced today.
Yes, Camilla, delighted to be here with Molesey's first and second date. We've got Ollie, Josh, Joe and Alex from second date and first date. Alex, we come to you first of all, coxing the Molesey first date. How was it being back on the tideway today?
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's just good to get out there and get racing again. Obviously, the last race was 2019, so it's just really great to go out there and attack it.
And Joe, sorry. Have you checked the results? How have they been so far today?
Yeah, we did pretty well. Good. What we're aiming for. Right in the mix there. It's all good.
And Ollie stroking the second day today. How have you stacked up against all of your other competitors so far?
I've not actually seen the results, but we kind of overcooked it a little bit, so we limped through the line. But other than that, it was really good fun. Yeah, we had a great time.
And Josh, how's preparation been so far leading up to Head of the River this year?
It's been good. We're here with Heineken, got some good results there. We're competing against some really good international crews, had a good level of training. Last week's been fun, found a lot of speed on the Molesey stretch, so yeah, it's a pretty good prep, I think. We went out and did it justice. But yeah, Ollie said we overcooked it a little bit.
Happy for head season to be over.
So Alex, now that head season is over, what's next on the calendar for you?
I suppose we're going to Wimbledon, the old stomping ground, for a camp, so that should be good to get back down there. But yeah, just fine tuning really.
So next big race, Ollie?
I think it's maybe Wallingford in pairs. So I'm going to be racing Wallingford in a pair with George Stewart, so look out for that one. It's going to be big.
Fantastic.
So well done Molesey Boat Club and well done everyone else so far. Back to you, Will and Camilla.
Excellent.
Thanks very much, Fergus. Yeah, great to hear from Molesey there, who are racing out at the Town Rowing Club up at the start. They've all made it back in one piece, and it sounds like fairly pleased with their results, although like we've been warning against all morning, very easy to overcook it, as Holly Knight stroke the Molesey B crew said. Now another surge of crews here coming towards the line, trying to keep tabs on all of them. I think we're into the sort of latter 260s now. Potentially Oxford Academials I can see there in the middle in the red and black, and UCL on the near side of your picture, but there's just so many crews, Will. We're really getting to the thick of it now.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see a couple of them coming down a bit more out of order now as well. So it's keeping us on our toes, trying to pick up. And we've got 270 is that crew in the middle. As we can see, Bristol just look like they're going to help pick up one of their teammates, or they're just cooling off their legs in the water. Crew 270 was Jesus College Cambridge's B crew.
I think they've lost something. It looks like they're all searching for something, but we'll never know. Maybe Fergus can hop his way over to Quinton Boat Club to find out more, but until then, it is the Imperial Medics perhaps. It looks like maybe with those rainbow loops. We'll just wait to get on number King's College, the wrong kind of rainbow loops I think I was talking about. That is crew number 272, we think.
Yeah, and back on board with Cardiff University now, crew 273, coming up towards the finish line now. So you can see the coaches urging on the crew to finish off strong into the last few strokes now. Let's listen in as they come across the line.
Everything you've got, okay? Everything. every single litre of fuel, every milliliter, every little unit. Give me everything. Come on, boys, tap down. Send it. Send it. Let's get them.
And I think the Cardiff University crew across the line there, you can see the Cox, Annabelle Watkin there, just encouraging crew to just expend every last little bit of energy that they had in the tank, which is exactly what you want to do. You want to get across that line and not have anything left. That looked like a impressive performance there from the Cardiff crew. Looks like they're just by the overseas crew from Westfalen, crew 271. Crew 289 now coming up towards the finish. We're really into the dying stages now. Lady Margaret Boat Club's B crew.
They look very tidy, definitely focusing on their technique, looking very together, and it's just great to have such good conditions. I think that it really can, if the conditions don't fall in your favour, it can be a really horrible course to row, and so we've been really lucky today that these beginners and these lower crews have got such beautiful water to row on.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, definitely for those crews that don't necessarily row on big rivers, that you may not get the experience of rowing in tricky conditions all the time, that going to head of the river in tough water can be a really big shock to the system. So I think what we're probably seeing from the results today is that the results are going to be probably a slightly closer reflection of just pure rowing speed, as opposed to rowing speed mixed with how they can handle the conditions as well. You can see crew 276 over on the left-hand side of the screen, 289 getting up close to them, 276. That is Grosvenor, who we saw going through the start earlier on. But we're really going to be into the last of our crews now coming into the finish area.
Yeah, some lovely rowing there from all crews through the line after that 6.8 kilometres of water to tackle. They've gone around all those bends, fought off all those other competitors, and this is the final straight for them now. And you can just see gathering in the distance beyond Putney Bridge all of those Finnish crews that will now have to make their way back round to their original clubs where they boated. And you can see there right up at the start, some of those first crews in the top 50 are already off the water, debriefing, talking through how their race went, just evaluating their performance. Another great race. It doesn't stop in the top 50, the top 100, top 150 crews. We've got side-by-side racing the whole way down this course, and crew number 288 being given some really stiff competition here. Wolfson Cambridge, so that's Wolfson College Cambridge, just trying to push away and push off from the crew, trying to get an overlap with their bows as they come into this final straight. Some real effort here being put in the middle of that boat on the left, a charge through to the finish, like we heard the cock saying in that Cardiff University crew. This is where you've got to give all that last few litres of fuel. That's crew number 290 that are charging down Wolfson.
The École Centrale University from France are coming over here to compete. You can see in the bottom right we've got 282 as well. That is Putney Town's D crew. A big flurry of crews coming up to the line now. We're being told that the last of our crews is number 293, and they're currently around the milepost. So I think we're going to be having our last crews coming over the line in around about 3 minutes or so.
What a fantastic day we've had here at the Head of the River Race 2022. Amazing stuff. be back on the tide where we've seen a lot of the other head races go ahead, the Falls Head, Pears Head, Scullers Head, Women's Head, Schools Head, and now the final head race, the big head race to take place here, Head of the River Race 2022, coming towards a close. Crew number 127, Canterbury A. You can see there, stroke man Henry Connor getting out of the boat.
Wacky stuff going on.
And Cubby, how would you be feeling after this one?
I mean, especially after the row back to the start line, I absolutely hated it. I was fortunate enough to learn to row in a school that was based on the Putney embankment, so I always got to finish my head race, turn around, and then basically be at my boathouse. It was a bit of a rude awakening when I went to university and had to row all the way back to Chiswick Bridge. It's not exactly what I'd choose, but yeah, it's really tough when you finish and then you've got to row all that way back. At least it's good conditions today. We've got UCL coming up towards the line now.
So, crew number 285, University College London D. It is the last of the UCL crews we'll see today. Just another 10 crews to get over the line, there or thereabouts. But whilst we wait for the final crews to complete the course, we managed to catch up with Fergus and the crew from Surrey University.
Yes, thank you, Camilla. Here with Sam Tuck, head of Surrey University Boat Club, and Jamie, their president. And Jamie, first of all, how's today been for Surrey as a whole?
Today's been very good. We've been very excited for Eights Head for a long time. It's been 3 years since we last raced it, and we've had crews that have missed out over the last 3 years, the last 2 years that we've wanted to get racing. So it's been good to finally get take it down.
And Sam, how many crews was it you had racing today?
We just had the one today. We opted to just keep it to the one. We've got some beginners back home training at the moment, but we had one, and we had our eyes on the medium academic pennant, which has been a target of ours for the last few years. So we're just awaiting results to see how we did in that.
Fantastic. If we just step this way, just slightly out of the camera shot. But how's preparation been leading up to it, Jamie? Obviously, we've had a number of the crews just catching COVID leading up to Head of the River. How's it been for Surrey?
Yeah, it's been good since. Obviously, we went out in the 8, raced the 8 for the first time this season, or first time properly at Bucks about a month ago, and then we've done Kingston Head last weekend as well. So we've had a good month really winding up and getting back in the 8 and making that our priority over the last few weeks. So.
And now that we've had head season come to an end, Sam, what's next on the cards? Sorry.
We'll be back in the small boats this week, and all systems go for Bucks Regatta, which is about 5 weeks away, I think. So that's the 8's going to go into the shed for a couple of weeks, and we'll get back out on pairs and fours and see what we can do there.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge number of crews here racing, getting a last tussle in before Bucks Regatta in about 4 or 5 weeks' time. So plenty of action coming at the National Water Sports Centre. But all of that to come in about a month's time. Back to you, Camilla and Will.
Thanks very much, Fergus. Great to hear from Surrey there. They'll keep their fingers crossed for that medium academic pennant. We'll bring you all the results as soon as we can. But our final crew number 293, King's College C, approaching Putney Pier, approaching the line that will complete the 2022 Head of the River Race. What's been your favourite thing about today, Will?
I think it's just been the huge amount of energy that we've had both at the start and the finish. You could just feel before the race started, just having all those crews up at the start line again, getting ready to go. Huge amount of energy then, and then as they were then racing past, we were getting those times with 3 or 4 crews side by side. Huge amount of cheering from the crowds. That really was absolutely fantastic to see, and fantastic to have the 8's Head back in our lives after such a long absence.
I love these shots of the crews returning back home. It's just amazing to see the numbers of people all exhausted, happy, smiling, relieved that it's all done. But how amazing is that to see this number of crews back on the River Thames? That's been us. That's been our coverage today of the 2022 8th Head of the River Race. My name's been Camilla Hadley. and well, I've got Will Horrocks here with me. The results are now up on the website. Remember, there's the top 10 crews just on your screen now. Provisionally, of course, what a win there for Oxford Brookes A. Provisionally 16:59.8, almost a 16-second gap back to Leander Club A.
So we're just seeing the crews there in their start order. So if you just look across, you can see the finish number just to the right of the timing, so you can see where everyone fitted in. Fantastic performances all across the board. If there's any that jump out to us. Durham University A finishing in 25th position there. Their new head coach, Rob Dauncey. London Rowing Club A, we called them out, started 31st, finishing 17th. Impressive from them. Radley College Boat Club A, looks like they may have been one of our, I think they're first in the junior category.
Yeah, that would have been impressive for them, but perhaps more juniors further up actually, because you can see the PVJ column denotes the trophy that they're in.
Edinburgh University making a big jump up to 12th position overall. King's College School Boat Club finishing second in the junior category and 74th overall. A reminder, of course, all of these results are provisional and will be confirmed later. We're also going to have our prize giving at Thames Rowing Club at 3 p.m. today. University Surrey Boat Club, we spoke to them earlier, finishing 59th, 15th in their category. Can't see where they are, and can't see where they are in the medium academic pennant. But best of luck to them. Cambridge University Boat Club Lightweights finishing 5th in their category.
So just the last few results that we're going to bring you, but you can catch all of the results on the Head of the River website. Just go over there to check these out and they'll be confirmed in the next few hours. And our final cruise here, just getting off the water, like we say, relieved, relaxed now that it's all over for another year, and just beautiful weather to now kick back, relax, enjoy themselves, evaluate the race, and look forward to the summer season of racing and look forward to next year. And we've loved having you all with us for this live stream. The first time we've been able to live stream this event like this. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you all the action back on the Tideway after a few years out. And look at all of those spectators that have been there in person to check out all the action. So once again, I've been Camilla Hadland. I've been joined here by Will Horrocks. We've had Fergus Mainland with you on the ground here on the Tideway. A big thanks to all of the volunteers, a huge thank you to our film crews, our production team that have brought you all of these amazing shots, and a big thank you to all of the athletes, coaches and supporters as well for creating the atmosphere here today. It's been absolutely wonderful, and we hope to see you again at the Head of the River in 2023.